What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about going from top dog, being a top dog service technician, to jumping out on your own as a business owner, going down to a little dog. Let's go. Now there's a couple of things that really tipped me off to make me decide, like, I'm gonna just go start my own business. And the first thing was the seed was planted by somebody. There was a new guy who had come into the field. He had just gotten out of school, and he was a new hire, and he was riding with me. And about Wednesday on the second week, he rode with me for 2 weeks, and about Wednesday of the second week, he learned that I had, just from conversation, that I had my master's license. And he was like, because at that point I had it, but I hadn't went on my own to do anything. I really didn't have any inclination to do so. To be honest, I went and got my master's license because the company I worked for didn't hold their own master's license to pull permits and stuff. So I thought, hey, there's a gap. I can go get this, and maybe instead of you, the business owner, paying somebody else to pull permits for you, you can just pull it off mine. But when I went to get my master's license and I brought it, so this was the first thing, actually, I forgot about this. Just talking about it made me remember. So I give my master's license and I say, hey, you can use my master's license now. And she says, oh no, we can't do that. Can't do that. I'm not gonna have anybody hold me, have leverage on me again. And I thought, what does it matter? I'm in the company. I'm like the forefront of the company. I'm like the lead technician. I'm practically the only technician. Why not use my license? Give me that little bit of extra money instead of paying somebody else to use theirs. They're still there. If something happens to me, you can still go use that license over there. But no, she wouldn't do it. So that was number one. Number two, I was riding with a guy. I was a new hire. And we were about this, it was the second week of him riding with me. Is about sometime in the middle of the week, probably Wednesday, and he says, just through conversation, he learned that I had my master's license, and he was like, oh man, why wouldn't you just go start your own business, man? Man, if I had my master's license, I'd go start my own business. So I thought, I didn't think much of it right then, but he had planted the seed, and it wasn't too long after that I decided, you know what, he's right. And I started, the gears started clicking. So then, fast forward, that he didn't stay very long. He went on to be very successful in a different company. He's now the service manager of one of the biggest companies in our area. Very sharp guy, very likable guy. We're still friends to this day. But so fast forward a little ways. I am driving in between calls, and I've got to stop by the office. Well, first I get a call from the office, and it's the owner. She says, hey, do you have a hot surface igniter on your van? I'm like, sure. What brand? And she says, it's a Ream. So I said, oh yeah, I've got those. I tell you what, I'm on my way to my next call. I'll just swing in and I'll drop it off for you. She says, okay, great. So I get there, and she comes out and she brings out a flame sensor. And that just blew my mind. I'm like, how can you run an HVAC business and not know the difference between a hot surface igniter and a flame sensor? And believe me, I understand the difference between business ownership and, I've heard owners say, I couldn't even wire a thermostat. I get that, okay? Because they're an owner, they're not a technician. Totally get that, but you should know some terminology at the very least, and you ought to know what parts are called. But she didn't. So that was another, sour taste in my mouth. Then the last thing that happened was I needed business cards, and I hadn't had business cards. And I was the primary technician, and there was another technician that came before me who had the title of service manager, and I wanted that title. Now, knowing what I now know and being a lot more mature than I was back then, I understand I should have had that conversation with her to let her know that I would really appreciate a title, but I didn't. I kind of just was assuming that I would be named service manager. Well, I get the business cards. They they come in, and I actually picked them up because they were ordered in a different town. So I picked them up because I was running a service call over there. I pick them up and I get them out and they say service technician. And at that point, I realized that I was only going to be a service technician with that company. And I wanted more. I was ready to grow. You know, I wanted to expand myself. I was ready to learn more and take on more responsibility. So at that point, I decided this is, you know, that was it. It was like, okay, between getting my license and not using it, between someone planting the seed, between the hot service igniter, and between not getting a title, I just made the decision, like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try this on my own. So, but here's the thing is, I thought at that point, by the time I was ready, or thought I was ready, I'd been doing this for 12 years, primarily service. However, I knew a lot of installation as well, and I could do it. I knew I could do it by myself. I was young, strong, you know, great stamina. Like, I could work, you know, till 9 o'clock at night, get up at 7, do it again in the morning. But the thing is installing units, and you know, you've probably heard me say this before, but installing units and being able to fix almost anything when it comes to, for me, it was residential and light commercial. I could fix just almost anything. I mean, pretty much fix anything. But what I mean is I could figure most things out without having to make a phone call anymore. But that skill was necessary to start the business, but that's not what running a business was. And I didn't realize that. So in all actuality, I went from top dog down to little dog. So let's talk about that for a minute. I'm gonna put this up on the screen, top dog and little dog. So I knew my craft. I was a top earner. I was trained in various equipment. I had years of experience. Customers asked for me. I had a good reputation. I had some reviews with my name in it. And customers were just handed to me each and every day, and I went and took care of them, and, you know, didn't complain a whole lot. Of course, I complained a little bit, but not a whole lot. But I was a really hard worker, and I worked most weekends. I was on call. For the 6 years that I worked for that company, I was on call a good majority of the time. But then I went down to a little dog, because I thought running a business means being good at service and having the ability to install stuff. I was a new kid on the block. Now I could be my own boss, right? But the reality was I had no business knowledge. All the business knowledge that I had when I started was the business knowledge that I had seen working for a business that in all actuality was failing. So what did I do? I came right out of the chutes and I adopted exactly what they did and started doing what they did to run my business. And that was one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. But at some point, I realized that I have to now find my own customers. And that's when you start realizing that there's more to this business than just running service calls. But the thing is when you get started, you have that, you're excited, but you're scared at the same time, right? So you have a positive outlook, you're ambitious and excited. So that can take you quite a ways. As long as your motivation continues, and you get committed, it can take you a long ways. But at some point or another, anytime, you've heard the old saying, no pain, no gain. Well, you could flip that around. You're not going to have gains without pain. And that's true for every single business. And whether when you're starting from zero and you're going to your first 100,000, there's going to be some pain involved. When you go from 100,000 to 250,000, there's pain involved. When you go from 250 to 500, there's pain involved. 750, a million, 1,500,000, 2 million. There's pain involved at every step of the way, because anytime there's gain, it doesn't come without some pain. So anyhow, I wanted to talk a little bit about this just because you got to realize before you make the leap, before you decide to go in business for yourself, you got to know how to run the business. It's not just running service calls and installing units. So that's all I got for you guys. Hey, next week we're going to be doing Titan Tune-Ups Part 2 in my group at HVACserviceready.com. If you go in there and subscribe to the business membership, you can jump in on that call next week, and got some great information I'm sharing with you. So, hey, if you're just a service tech just starting out, check out the HVAC Service Ready. That's the course. HVAC Service Ready is the name of that particular course, but look at the technician bundle. And there's a lot of great stuff in there, and I'll teach you a lot of stuff about, you know, getting the knowledge that you need to, and the foundation you need to be an awesome service tech, guys. So hope you have a great weekend. It's great seeing you guys. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and love you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, go make money. Boom. That's what we're here for, making money. Boom.